Hey YouTube, it's Morgan, aka the Mountaineer, sitting out here on the stoop on this very nice morning. I have LJ Peretti's Cambridge Flake and a Scott Hudson Poker. My first time smoking it. Probably should have let it dry. I've been smoking it for about 10 minutes and I've had to relight it quite a bit, but I think that's my fault, not the tobacco's by any means. It's been a long time, over a month since I posted anything. Life has been crazy. Haven't really been home much on the weekends. We've been traveling a lot. I'll start out with the sad news. Tomorrow will be a month since we had to put my dog down. Such a good girl. She was a pound dog, and she's 11 and a half. We got her when she was about 6 weeks old or so. And I was working for the state at that time, and my wife was still doing tax accounting. Picked her up from the vets after we'd adopted her and she'd been spayed. I went and picked her up on Martin Luther King Day, had the day off. So that was right when tax season was getting in swing. And so my wife was not home a lot, and working with my job, I was able to go home every day at lunch. So oftentimes I'd spend a lunchtime cleaning up messes. But she was sick when we got her from the vet. She had kennel cough and bronchitis and maybe something else. She didn't improve throughout the week, and I think Thursday or Friday we took her in and they kept her. She had parvo, which, if you don't know, is a pretty deadly disease for dogs. It was kind of a miracle she survived. But they shaved her little legs, front legs, and put IVs in her, and she was just pitiful. And I think it stunted her growth. She was a half lab, half border collie. And she never, I don't think, ever broke 50 pounds, which is small for both of those breeds. But I think with me caring for her a little bit more, since I had more time and cleaning up for her and stuff, she was just she was everyone's dog. She didn't ever meet a person she didn't like. But, I was her favorite person, I guess. But we were getting ready to go on vacation, and she had a seizure overnight Thursday, about Friday morning, I guess 2:30 or so. And so my wife took her to the vets, said everything was fine on the blood test. Had another seizure about 8 in the morning, so we took her to our regular vets, and they said they could keep her and monitor her, give her medicine, and hopefully that would help, and that we would be fine to go on vacation. Just know that she might not improve. So we headed out west, and day by day it seemed like she had a good day and then a bad day and a good day and a bad day. And then that Wednesday we got a call early in the morning, and that she was not doing well, and that basically it looked like she wouldn't, she was not going to improve. It was just going to go downhill. So we talked to them, and they were able to just keep her comfortable till we could get home that day we had a lot of stuff scheduled. They said getting there by Friday would be fine. They could keep her comfortable and all that. And so we did all the stuff we had planned Wednesday. Got up Thursday morning and started heading home. Got into Western Kentucky by Thursday night. Just back into the Eastern time zone. Hightailed it home, and we got there and had to wait a little bit while they prepped a room. They didn't expect us that early, but then we waited for a while for her to come in, and they opened the door to the room, and she was cowering, and her tail was practically riding on her stomach. It was tucked up so much, but she warmed up to us. But it wasn't Snooky. She had had so many seizures, and they think it was probably a brain tumor, and I think that it had erased her. So she didn't recognize us. She didn't recognize her name or anything. It was just like she was a puppy again. She was sniffing everything. She slowly warmed up to us and was sniffing everything and was friendly. She just didn't, it just wasn't her, like I said. But my wife brought her favorite treats, human treats. Excuse me. Chips, a certain type of chips, and a bunch of peanut butter. So we were feeding her that, and she was loving that. But we spent probably an hour and a half with her. The boys and my wife and I, and then our friend came by, spent a little time with her, and then she took the boys, and we said goodbye to her, and I held her as they injected her with the drugs. She went slack with the sedative, and then they gave her I don't know what it was, but to stop the heart. So that was rough. That was Friday before the 4th of July. So we were home that weekend, but obviously it was a bit of a depressing weekend. Still miss her like crazy. It's still kind of surreal. Just think, oh, she's at the vet's or something. I'll come home at lunchtime or at the end of the day and expect her to be at the baby gate inside waiting for me to let her out and pet her. And I'll have food, and I'll have, like, say, French fries, and there will be a spot on a fry I don't like, and I find myself going to throw it down for her for a little treat, and realizing that I'm going to have to pick that thing up because she's not there to get it. But it was a very quick disease. We had 11 and a half years with her, really good years. She hadn't really shown major signs at all. I just, for the month or two in the lead up to all that, there would be times when her back legs would kind of drag whenever she was getting up off her chair. And I just thought, her old age is finally kicking in. She was pretty spry up to that point, so I just thought her age finally caught up to her. But, didn't know what signs to look for, but she maybe had some tiny seizures. But all her life, she's kind of like spazzed as she was sleeping, just dreaming and stuff. So just thought it was more of that. But, it was looking back, that was probably the best way that all that could have happened. It was quick for her, never really painful, just scary at times, I think, whenever she'd come out of the seizure and kind of come to. and not really know who she was for a bit, temporarily, until the end, I think. But we saw her pretty much in good health, and they took really great care of her, but we didn't see her decline, and we weren't there. And I was really looking forward to that last time of her straining at the leash, coming to try to get me. Looking forward to her being excited to see me, and to see her cowering like that was, very sad. But I think in the end, seeing her as not her made it a whole lot easier to say goodbye. But anyhow, so it's been rough, but all in all, it probably turned out for the best. Wish I'd have gotten a few more years with her, but she didn't really suffer. So that's, I guess, the best you can ask for. It'll take a while for, even after almost a month, it's still sinking in, but we have her. We got her cremated and have her sitting on the mantle with her collar around the little urn, I guess. But so there's the depressing news out of the way. I'll go through real quick and talk about my vacation a little bit. We were looking at prices for beaches, and it was just exorbitant. And my oldest son had done a school project about Texas, so we just decided to go to Texas. And we went out to St. Louis, spent a day out there, went to Anheuser-Busch, I think went to their original factory, took a tour, which was amazing. Even if you don't like alcohol, if you're ever in St. Louis, go do that tour just for kind of the history and the amazing architecture and things like that. Got to see some Clydesdales. And then we went up in the Gateway Arch, which was terrifying. I'm afraid of man-made heights. I'm good with cliffs and things like that, but big buildings and structures, big bridges, things like that, I don't do well. And to get up there, you're in this little, I called it a barrel. I mean, they couldn't do just an elevator because of the structure of the arch. It wouldn't have fit, so they made these little barrels that you kind of sit in. And I sat in the end, and there were 2 seats to either side, and then a little tiny door with a window, and you go up and it'll shift side to side a little bit to get around things. And you're going up and you can see the interior of the arch narrow through that little window, and you get up and the top is curved, and we had assigned windows because of the virus, had to wear a mask inside the arch the whole time. We got to look out and see the Illinois side, saw the Pirates playing the Cardinals a little bit, and the Pirates won, which is cool. But then we got down, and again, I was very happy to be on solid earth. And then went on a little riverboat cruise, so that was kind of cool, being on the Mississippi. Then we headed to Kansas City and went to the Federal Reserve there. Went to their little money museum, which was interesting. I lifted up about $700,000 worth of gold and stood beside a display of $40 million. I think it was all $100 bills, and it showed you how much that was physically, how much $40 million was. It was surprising. And then on the way out of town, my wife had planned a surprise. I guess she saw it on the map, but it was a couple that had a pottery studio, and they had the normal pottery stuff, mugs, bowls, things like that. But their specialty was tiles, like landscape tiles for backsplashes and things like that. And the pictures that they had were pretty amazing. But I got a mug, and my wife did too. This isn't it. This is one of mine that I've made, probably one of my best pieces. But anyway, so from there we left and went down to Dallas. Stopped in Oklahoma City. It was rainy, but it eventually slowed up, so we were able to get out. I went out first while it was still kind of raining a good bit and walked around the Alfred P. Murrah Memorial. It was very, very touching. Hard to believe that people would do that type of thing, but then my family came out and walked around a little bit. We left, and it was raining like crazy, but then made it to Dallas, and we were there about 3 days, and then had to leave. But we went to the zoo. I feel like there was something, like we did some other stuff one day, and I'm not remembering. But then the morning we got the call that we would need to head out, we went ahead and did this stuff that day. The vet said it would be fine if we were, headed out the next day. So we went to a Perot Science Museum, and that was kind of cool. And then we went to Dealey Plaza, where JFK was assassinated. Went through the 6th floor museum. It was pretty fascinating. And then went down into the plaza. I jumped out and stood on the X and took a picture up of the Texas School Book Depository where Lee Harvey Oswald was when he shot JFK, and stood at the X where the fatal shot happened and took a picture of that. But then that evening, we went up to for my son, we went up to Frisco, Texas, home of Dude Perfect, the big time YouTubers. My son loves them, so we drove around their headquarters and saw, where some of their videos are shot and stuff. So that was kind of neat. He was very thrilled. And then went to Reunion Tower, which I think is something like 470 feet tall, and it has kind of like 3 supports and 3 elevators, and they all have glass openings. You start out underground, then go up, so then you can see, out as you're going up until the last 10 or 20 feet or so, and then it's an interior, and then there's an exterior walkway. And so I was out there, and it was kind of cool. It was around sunset. I took some pictures because it looks right down on the Dealey Plaza. Took some pictures through one of the little telescope deals they have up there, and took some pictures right before sunset. But I kind of hit the wall. I was like, we got to go down. And so we went down, but eventually went down, back down it, and I felt a lot better. But then we headed home. We were going to stay in Little Rock or somewhere like that for a night. Go through Memphis, get some lunch there, maybe go past Graceland, and then go to Nashville for 2 days and spend 4th of July there. But we had to cut it short, so we ended up going. We went through Arkansas and went back up into Missouri, and then Tennessee, and then the very western edge of Kentucky, and stopped in Elizabethtown, which I guess, if I recall correctly, I think Maker's Mark maybe is made there, and drove past Bardstown on the way home and saw signs and saw some of the big rick houses where they age bourbon. But anyway, so then we, got back, and the weekend sucked, but saw a couple cities worth of fireworks, and kind of decompressed. And then that following weekend, we went up to Cape and had cousins in from California and Florida, and had a good weekend there. And I feel like there was something else, but I can't remember. A lot of this has just been a blur. We've just been so busy. But then last weekend really was other than the weekend after, when we had to put Snooky down, which that just sucked. Last weekend was really the only weekend we stayed home, and my brother-in-law's grandmother passed away, and she and his parents live about 20 minutes or so away from here, so they were down at his parents', and so we went to the visitation and sat on Saturday, and then my brother-in-law and I played hooky from church the next day. Met about 7 o'clock at Kanawha State Forest, and we made coffee before we hit the trail. We were hiking, taking our time, and then we stopped and smoked a pipe. It was Pigeon Roost and Rocky Ridge Trail, so smoked a pipe at my normal, or at the ridge part of it where I about fell off the mountain. We ended up being there for a good while. We had another cup of coffee after we got off the trail, just kind of hung out talking, and then we went and picked up biscuits at Tudor's World. It's a West Virginia chain, and I went and hit another trail at Coonskin Park, a county park. So that was cool. And then that evening we had dinner with him and then my sister and my nephews before they headed back north. So that was a good time. But then Friday, we were celebrating my mother-in-law's birthday and surprised her with her present. My wife got tickets for the three of us to go do the bridge walk in the New River Gorge Bridge. So I think the guide said it's the 13th tallest bridge in the entire world, maybe the third or fourth tallest in the U.S. And he didn't mention this, but I've heard for years that it's the second largest single span arch bridge in the world. And if you're American or have used much American currency, they have the state quarters. That's what's on the back of West Virginia's state quarter. So anyway, basically you go to their location and then walk out, or they had a little bus that took us over to the kind of the trailhead and walked down, and the guide was telling us stuff. We had to put harnesses on first, but the guy was kind of telling us history and stuff. The guide was pretty awesome, but he unlocked the gate to get out to the walkway, and it's just a walkway the entire length of the bridge. The deck of the bridge, I think he said, was 69.5 feet wide, so it's 2 lanes in each direction, and the bridge is 3,030 feet long, and I believe it's something like 870 feet or something like that tall, and you're going across the New River Gorge, and then you're over the New River. So we did that, and I had a little silicone necklace thing, lanyard, that I had my phone in, and I thought, man, I'm just going to be terrified this entire time. And to be honest, I had one little spell about a quarter or a third of the way through where I got nervous, and I said, nope, I'm going to be all right. And then most of the time I was just nervous that that thing would fail and that my phone would plummet and be lost. But it was a great time. You know, you hooked up, you had the harness, and then like a strap leash type thing that went from the front of the harness, and it went up over our left shoulders and to like a pulley, and you walked along, and it was dragging probably 4 feet behind you. Excuse me. And then I don't know what you'd call them, but there were like support things every so often. But he said that is the single longest, what's the word I'm looking, like support cable or something like that in the world, as far as they know, safety system. But it was just one continuous cable. There were two, and he was on one, so he could move back and forth. And then all of us tourists were on one. But it was amazing. When we got to the halfway point, to the peak of the arch, we had the option to sit down, so I sat down. My wife did too, and my mother-in-law didn't. But he took some took pictures of everyone, and as we were going across, we had so many stops here and there, and he'd tell us about the arch, the construction, talking about its ranking in the world. So it was pretty fascinating. It was fun. I'm not sure exactly. I need to look at my pictures to see exactly how long we were on the bridge, but made it to the other end and got on the bus at the other side, and got rocketed up this little hill, and then worked our way back around. We got a sticker that said I did it, and I mean, it was so cool that I was like, well, that was all right. So we ended up just paying an upcharge and getting annual passes. My wife and I. My mother-in-law didn't want one, but so we'll go back, and there's actually Bridge Day every year. I think it's the second Saturday of every October, and you can go out on the bridge, walk out on it. There are vendors set up on the land on the way up to it, and people base jump and rappel from the bridge, so you can watch them jumping. But on Bridge Day, they have the bridge walks. You just have to, it's $15 more, so as annual pass holders, we'll just have to pay that amount more. But you can go out, and it's not like the tour thing, and you can only go so far because of where the rappellers take up part of the catwalk. But go out and sit down and hang out for about 45 minutes watching these people appear after having jumped. So we might we might end up doing that. That sounds pretty cool. But I was amazed at how, I mean, I don't know if it was because it was open air and because I could look down, I don't know, and see, and maybe it's because there was nature below me rather than, asphalt and concrete and vehicles and stuff. But it was all right. I had a really good time. But anyhow, so that'll catch you up a long ramble, but that's just kind of an explanation of what's been going on. But anyhow, well, hope y'all are doing well. Hopefully you've had good summers, had some good vacations, or at least some breaks. Maybe enjoyed some weather. Right now it's very cool, a little bit breezy, and it feels good. But probably by this afternoon it'll be miserable. It's been so humid the past few days. But hopefully where you're at, you're comfortable and having a good time. But anyhow, guys, as always, thanks for tuning in.